It's not matter that emits a field. It's the field that actually organizes matter.
Hello and welcome to the Pacific Channel. I'm your host, Steve Doherty. Want to know how to strengthen your immune system by 50% by doing this one thing for only 10 minutes several times a day? Or have you ever wondered where consciousness is and what it is really from a more scientific perspective? Dr. Joe Dispenza will answer these questions, but also, and not so apparent, this information will help you to believe in how your thoughts can create whatever you want. In other words, you will learn a little bit about the science of how thoughts become things. Thoughts can either generate or heal cancer, and thoughts can either generate or repel something that you want. But the confusing part is that it's not really thoughts alone that do this. It's the corresponding feeling that you have with the thought. In other words, you can say affirmations all day long out loud, but if you don't believe it, if you don't feel that those affirmations are true, then it won't matter. The point is that you must learn to feel elevated emotions first without an external conditional reason for it. And that's a little bit tricky for most of us to do, including for me. The universe isn't listening to the thoughts you think, it's listening to how you feel, to where you vibrate on the emotional scale. In this audio clip, a host asked Dr. Joe Dispenza several questions. This discussion is all about consciousness, your energy field, and how your energy field, if it is not healthy, will produce disease in your body. Scientists now can tell beforehand, for example, if you have an energy field that is likely to create disease. If you've ever wondered what it is meant by consciousness, this video will help you to understand it. And when you understand it, you then can leverage the power of that information to help yourself and manifest what you want. The host in this audio clip asked Dr. Joe Dispenza about consciousness. She asked, "Where is consciousness?" and says that we can't really pinpoint where it is. Dr. Joe will explain that consciousness is not a byproduct of the brain. Rather, consciousness is an energy field that is both outside the body and inside. He's going to say that consciousness is actually using the brain to create different levels of mind. He will explain that the mind is really the brain in action, but that consciousness uses or controls both the brain and the mind. Let's listen to Dr. Joe explain all of this now.
I'm your host, Dr. Joe Dispenza. Let's begin.
So I have a question about consciousness now, because you introduce the coherent field of the heart, and we talk about consciousness in the brain. I mean, where is consciousness? You know, we can't really pinpoint it anywhere. Where do we feel it? Where is our consciousness? Where do you think?
Well, you know, there's so much great research. Consciousness is not a byproduct of the brain. Consciousness is actually using the brain to produce different levels of mind. And there's just some great research that's going on right now by some really unlimited researchers that are showing that the field around the body and the brain is where consciousness exists. Mm-hmm. And it is that field that begins to manipulate different circuits in the brain to produce mind. So mind is the brain in action, but mind needs energy and it needs consciousness to move through it. So if you think about this, if the brain can actually change itself, and it can, we can rewire the brain by learning or experiencing or changing our behaviors or making different choices. The fact that we can change the way we think, it means then we're not the brain. We're the operator of the brain, because who's doing the changing of the brain and the mind? The brain can't change the brain. It's just an organ. It's no different than the liver. The mind can't change the brain because the mind is the brain in action. So then who's doing the changing of the brain and the mind? And that's consciousness. That's that immaterial aspect of us. So then that consciousness has a field associated with it, because all energy or all frequency carries information. So then as we begin to tune into different energy and different frequency, we can change the level of mind that we're producing. So then research that's been done just at Harvard, just the last 50 years, with rats that have a propensity for, say, something like uterine cancer, they find that there's an invisible field that they can detect before the cancer shows up, that there's a field where they can see the animals that have had the uterine cancer have a specific signature in their field. They can see the same signature in those rats, but they don't have the uterine cancer yet, but they do get it. So it starts in the field before it's in matter. So it's not matter that emits the field, it's the field that actually organizes matter. Change the field, change the energy, you change matter, and that's the work that we're doing.
Wow. Because what is it, the OR theory that suggests that consciousness is in the microtubules of the myelin sheath in the brain?
Well, I do think that consciousness is where it permeates. It's in and around us. So microtubules are little cytoskeletons. They're like if you took a cell, a big round cell, and you were to blow all the snot off it, you would be left with these little tubules. And those tubules are very, very sensitive to frequency. In fact, they vibrate. So as the person is experiencing greater levels of energy, they begin to vibrate a little bit more. So that's where consciousness lives, because you can't have energy without consciousness. So it's in you and it's all around you. And interestingly enough, when we measured DNA expression, changes of DNA in 4 days in one of our advanced workshops, one of the genes that was actually activated was the gene for the construction and the stability of the cytoskeletons, the microtubules, which means that our students are changing their frequency and the cells are beginning to repair and produce stronger cytoskeletal structures.
Wow, I love the play on words between frequency and repetition. I think we could go down that route, but let's not do that now because we're nearly at the end of this interview, and I would love to talk to you about gratitude and it being the ultimate state of receivership, because all this sort of manifesting that we do in the field, and when the law of attraction way back, when you say thank you for something, like it's already happened, and you so definitely explain why the energy of gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership. I love it, Dr. Doe, it's great. So yeah, that way of working with that, no matter what, we've all got the miracle of life. We can all be thankful for something, even when it's really tough out there, and it is really tough out there for a lot of people to come into. What would you suggest for somebody?
Well, look, we've just been hypnotized and conditioned into believing we need a reason to be grateful or to be thankful or appreciative. That's waiting for something outside of us to change how we feel inside of us. And when someone gives us something and we feel better, and it takes away our pain or our emptiness or our lack, we pay attention to who caused it. But in essence, the fundamental structure of that is really waiting for your outer world to change your inner world. But the majority of the time, when your outer world is throwing fastballs at you or throwing darts at you, then the majority of the time we're reacting in the opposite way. We're feeling anger or frustration or fear or sadness or deflation. So then why not teach a person how to regulate internal states independent of their conditions in their external environment? Trade fear for gratitude, trade anger for appreciation, and train them on how to do that so that they know when they're there and when they're not. So our research shows that just 10 minutes of gratitude a few times a day is going to strengthen your immune system by 50%, begin to make this very chemical called immunoglobulin A, the primary defense against bacteria and viruses. That system shuts down when you feel the stress hormones like anger, fear, and pain. So then trade that, and all of a sudden, if you're feeling thankful, you're now, without anything outside of you, your body as the unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between an experience that creates an emotion and an emotion you're creating by thought alone. The body's believing it's already receiving what you're intending, and you will only accept, believe, and surrender to thoughts that are equal to your emotional state. So you won't accept, believe, and surrender to any thoughts that not. You could say, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm healthy. And if you're feeling fear or lack or pain, that thought's not making it to your body. Change the state of gratitude, and all of a sudden now the person will accept, believe, and surrender to the thoughts equal to that emotional state, and they begin to program their autonomic nervous system into a different destiny, and that's how people start to change.
So all this positive thinking is not enough. Got to go deeper.
Positive thinking, you can think positively all you want, but if you're feeling negatively, that thought's not going to make its way to the body. Change the emotional state, and all of a sudden the body will accept the thought. That's why affirmations don't work.
Oh, Dr. Joe Dispenza here on Chi Time. That's quite a statement. But there's another statement of yours which says, in this age of information, ignorance is a choice, which I think is absolutely spot on as well. So in this age of information where ignorance is a choice, and it looks like we've got numerous challenges, well, it's true, we do have numerous challenges coming at us. What do you say to people out there for to give them hope and be able to...
Gosh, we chose to be here. I mean, this is a great time to be alive. Every paradigm, every system, whether it's the environment, the political model, the economic model, the religious model, the educational model, the medical model, everything is collapsing for a reason, because it cannot sustain itself in a new consciousness. And we have to face these times, not in fear, not in rage, not in resentment, not in prejudice, not in control, but we have to face these times with being the example of everything we want to see, how we want to see the world to change. So that means then, as you're working on changing yourself and I'm working on changing myself, and I think we start making a better world. And we should never, ever make it about a person. It's just, when we do it, we give our power away to that person because we're giving them our attention. We should make it about principles. Once you make it about principles and no longer about people, people will unite for principles because they want freedom, they want happiness, they want peace, they want love, they want connection. That's our innate normal state when we're not living in survival. And so much of our world reminds us to live in survival because that's what people keep their attention. So I think it's so important for us really to be the living example of everything we want to see changed in the world.
Yeah, it's like the Gandhi quote, isn't it? Be the change, but it's so very true. And as we shift our frequency and our energy so that ripples out, there's an infectiousness to it. Wasn't it Darwin that said something about kind societies were the ones that were going to survive, because kindness is a natural human trait and it is infectious. When people are kind, it makes other people want to be kind.
And it actually is good for you too. You actually start releasing oxytocin, and oxytocin signals nitric oxide, and nitric oxide causes your heart to swell. And when your heart swells, you have more energy there, and you start leading with your heart, you start making decisions with your heart, and all of a sudden you start trusting a lot more. So I think our research also shows that when you get a group of people together and you have them open their hearts and feel those emotions, that it affects other people at a non-local place. Other people are affected when you start feeling those elevated states that are on the other side of the room. So I mean, again, that's creating a resonant field, a frequency that people can tune into and at least to be affected by autonomically.
Yeah, and when you have that experience that is real for you, you can trust that. I think trust is a very key word. Who do we trust in this day and age? Where can we find the right information that we need to be able to make the decisions that we have to make? And, trusting yourself as well as who can we trust, I think is a big question.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Dr. Joe, you're a very busy man. I believe you're off. Where are you off to next? What are you up to?
So I just got back from Santa Cruz, California. I have a day, and tomorrow I leave for Barcelona. We're doing an event for about 1,500 people in Barcelona. Then I go to Croatia to do an evening talk, and then from there I go to Rome, do a keynote presentation, and then we have another advanced progressive workshop in Rosenheim, Germany, 1,500 people, and then I'll go to Kiev, to the Ukraine, and do a talk in the Ukraine before I come back home for a few days.
Is this all before Christmas?
Oh yeah, no, then I'll come home and then I'll go again, and then I'll go to North Carolina, then I'll go to Austin, and then I'll go to Costa Rica for a couple of weeks and do a couple of retreats in Costa Rica. Then I'll be home for Christmas.
Wow, you are so busy. How can people find out more about you and where they can catch up with you around the world? Well,
probably the easiest place to catch up with me is just through my website. It's just drjoedispenza.com. A lot of information there. I just released a new book called Becoming Supernatural, How Common People Are Doing the Uncommon. And it's got a lot of the research that we've been doing and a lot of good stories to help people understand that it's possible for them.
So what can you do for only 10 minutes several times a day to improve your immune system by 50%, according to Dr. Joe? The answer is gratitude meditation. He doesn't explain exactly how to do it, but if you could just set your timer for 10 minutes and purposely feel grateful, appreciative, thankful, and happy without any external reason or condition, then you've got it. But if it helps you to think of something or someone to help you feel grateful, that's fine too. Just know that the goal is to not need anything outside of yourself to conjure up feelings of gratitude and appreciation. This is where it's a little tricky. Sometimes taking a walk or going out in nature or taking a nap or having a good sleep is the best thing you can do to raise your vibration so that you can milk the feeling of gratitude. But even a beautiful sunset is an external condition that you're using to feel gratitude. However, in most cases, what you'll find is that you felt the feeling of gratitude first before viewing something outside of yourself that you can appreciate. I know that sounds confusing to an extent. The point is to master this feeling, learn how to create it without any external stimuli. But if you're not there yet, it's fine to use external things to raise your vibration to gratitude and appreciation. The other amazing thing that I want to talk about is how research shows that consciousness resides in the field around the body, but it's also in every one of our cells too. So as according to Dr. Joe, if the brain cannot change the brain because it's just like the liver or another organ, and the mind is just the brain in action, then the only thing left that can change the brain is consciousness. And when we tune into different frequencies on purpose, we can then change our brains and our mind. The research done at Harvard University is fascinating. They can tell by a rat's energy field if it is about to get cancer or not. Energy precedes matter. Thoughts and feelings are energy. This is why what you purposely think and feel is so important to your health and your experience in life. The host asked Dr. Joe to talk more about gratitude as the ultimate state of receivership. And he said, "We've been hypnotized to believe that we have to have a reason to be grateful. That's waiting for something outside of ourselves to change how we feel inside of us. That's waiting for your outer world to change for your inner world. Trade fear for gratitude. Trade anger for appreciation." All of this is very true, but I'd like to just add that it's not all that easy to jump from very low feelings like depression, guilt, shame, and powerlessness all the way up to gratitude instantly. But if you purposely think better feeling thoughts most of the time, you can work your way up the emotional scale. I thought it was interesting how Dr. Joe said that affirmations don't work. I think what he means is that affirmations don't work if your energy is not in alignment with it. To get affirmations to work, your vibration has to be in at least the vicinity. of the feeling. So if you are depressed and you start saying an affirmation like, I am so joyful and happy now, it won't work. You must work your way up the emotional scale through other feelings first. And finally, I really like how positive Dr. Joe is. For a lot of us, these can feel or seem like the worst of times in our world if we don't understand that to rebuild something new, you must destroy the old. We have entered a new time of awakening, and most of society's systems are collapsing right before our eyes. But that's part of growth. Rather than hang on to the old systems that are self-destructing, we must focus on the new that our collective consciousness has already created. If you like this video, please click the like button, and if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Our channel's goal is to make it to at least 100,000 subscribers so that we can improve the content and offer you more things. Please share this video with 5 of your friends and comment below. Also, we are now offering group healing sessions. Right now, it's very inexpensive and we don't know how long we can keep the sale going. But if you sign up now, you'll be grandfathered in and your price will never change if you don't cancel. Please check the date and time in the description below, along with how to register for it. And now I'd like to give a shout out to Daylene, who attends our group coaching sessions. I believe or know that anything can be healed and that it's not that easy to think and feel positive when you have a serious diagnosis. But that's the work. The work is to embrace who you really are and your ability to improve your health through thought and feeling. So never give up. We're all in this together. That's the end of this video. If you have any questions, please ask them below and I'll do my best to answer them. Sorry if it takes me a few days now. Also, please feel free to leave a comment about what you think about this video. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.